This is Ramon, Channel Alpha 4, and here is my Bible Basic series. What are the major translations of the Bible? There is the KJV, which is mostly considered Protestant. The main dates for this translations is 1611, 1971, and 2000. Okay, the next big translation is going to be the NAB, which is Catholic. So even though not a big translation here in America and the rest of the world, this is what you're reading. Now, the rest of the world doesn't speak English, so not the New American. Each community has a council or a conference of cardinals, and they kind of, through imperator, to the power of imperator, okay the translation that is being sold. A big thing that happened during the Protestant Reformation and during the Bible printing is that some people would try to print a Bible without the imperator. It wasn't that they were printing the Bible, it wasn't that they were sharing biblical knowledge, is that they were doing it without papal authority, and that's when basically the whole burning at the stake stuff, all that kind of thing, that was that. It has a name though. That's when that happened. So it wasn't that people were not allowed to read the Bible, is that the church wanted to make sure that people were reading an official version of the Bible, so that way they could make sure that the translations were proper. You know, it's a power struggle. What do you want? All right, next is the NIV, and that one is the most popular version in the world, and that is a non-denominational, and that is from 1996. One of the least popular, but I think should be a much more popular book, the Orthodox Study Bible, and that is from 2008. I think everybody, Catholic, Protestant, whatever, should have this version because it has all the Old Testament books, including the ones that are not in the Catholic, including the ones that are not in the Protestant, but that are inspired even according to the Church Fathers. So none of these texts are going to lead you astray, and it has all the New Testament. So that's the way that I think most people should go. If you want a translation that's going to have all the context you need, go with the Orthodox. It's not a very popular text. It doesn't sell for that much. You can find it on Amazon. Orthodox, by the way, is from 2008. The Christian Standard Version, the Christian Standard Bible, is from 2017. I don't know what religion it's tied to. As far as I can tell, it's like the televangelist people or the evangelical people. So I'm going to say it's an evangelical Bible. That might not be correct. Please correct me below if I'm wrong on that. Okay, then you got the English Standard Version. You have the JPS, which is the Jewish text, and that is from 1917. And then you have the NRSV, which is the academic, which is from 1989. And so the New Revised, which is the Revised Version, which that one's based on, which is from 1952. That being said, English is not the only language in the world. There are other languages that have different translations and different translation traditions. Personally, right now I'm reading the Spanish. I prefer the Spanish from Spain, but the Spanish from Mexico and the Spanish from Colombia are also very popular, but they're very different translations because the way the language is used is different. So one English translator to another English translator, you'll translate different, even if you're from the same country. If you're from different countries where words have somewhat different context, you're going to have even greater variety and variation in the translation. So just understand that. And some books that are very popular will be translated from another language. So they're not translated from an original source, they're translated from a modern translation or a medieval translation. So sometimes the French will be used to translate into the Spanish. Understand that happens. Sometimes the English Bibles will be translated from the German. So understand you're not always going back to an original prime source. There are what's sometimes called paraphrase Bibles that will not always go to an original source. They're just simply clean up the language. So that way it's easier for people to understand. Which I don't like that. I like going with as close to the original source as possible, but I can't speak Aramaic or Hebrew or Greek, so I got to settle for the English. Most New Testament books are considered official simply by the fact that they were written before 120 AD and that they are regarded as divinely inspired. So here's the record of how that goes. So The first time this was done is to Catholic dogma in 382 by Rome. But then the list was adjusted through Orthodoxy in 692 in Tullian. And then it was reaffirmed in Trent in 1546. That's the Council of Trent, which the Protestants love to talk about. Then Luther changes it, and that's somewhere around 1563. And then Calvin changes it again in 1647. And basically what they do is they redact some books out of the Bible, and they call it the Apocrypha. We call it the Deuteronomical books. We, meaning Catholics, call it the Deuteronomical books. But there are lists that state canons that look similar to our canonical list, going all the way back to 300 with Origen and to 180 to Irenaeus. Now these are, when I say these dates, I'm talking about AD. I'm talking about after Christ. All right. Okay, see you next video.